Hey everyone, it's Dr. Apostle. I just wanted to kind of send you a video message and just talk about my experience with COVID-19. Today, for me, it's day 17, and I'm slowly recovering. And granted, I'm a lot better than I was a couple weeks ago. But I thought I'd share my perspective now that I've physically went through it. And I will tell you, I was very surprised of how I kind of responded to the way I thought I wouldn't respond. Coming from someone like me who's healthy and very active, I eat well. Granted, I'm not perfect. This virus really just threw me under a loop. And so I thought I'd share my experience with it with you. And I know that everybody is different. And so everybody has different responses. Everybody has different backgrounds. I will say, I think, first of all, I think I got it from my kids. They brought it home because they were sick with me as well, but they recovered within a few days, so they had no issues at all. I just remember having a sore throat, just feeling a bit run down. On the second day, I was really tired, and that kind of feeling when you're about to get sick, but you just kind of feel icky and run down, and that's kind of what I had. But by the third day, I had really bad body aches, chills, low-grade fever. At the highest was maybe 100.3. And so that day I went and got a rapid COVID test, and I was positive. And so from there, I'll tell you, the headaches were just horrible. And I'm actually still getting them, but they are just like no other headache I've ever had, and just persistent, pesky. I had to resort to taking Motrin around the clock because that was the only thing that worked for my headaches. By the fourth day, I was not sleeping. I lost my sense of smell and taste, which was kind of a bummer. And then the odd thing too is that I developed this rash all over, especially over my upper extremities, but I had some on my abdomen, very, very itchy. Again, probably an autoimmune reaction. By day 5, I had diarrhea, and that's when I decided to start steroids. I felt, I didn't want to have things perpetuate anymore, and I was concerned with the immune response, so I decided it was appropriate to take steroids. And I didn't mention that I was a bit short of breath earlier, and I had to use a breathing treatment, which belongs to my son, and that really helped me. So my chest was tight, and I have no history of asthma. Not a smoker, clearly, so it did affect my lungs a bit. And then as the days progressed, I had really bad fatigue, bouts of dizziness, nausea, very, very poor appetite. I really wasn't eating at all. By day 9, I tried to kind of get myself moving a bit, so I did some yoga, and that exhausted me. I actually felt a lot worse afterwards, so I didn't want to push it. But after that, day 10, I was starting to feel a little bit better. Day 11, I got an infusion at the clinic. It was safe. And I had IV fluids, I had vitamin C, zinc, B vitamins, I had some minerals, magnesium. And by day 12, I'm telling you, the next day, I felt so much better. I didn't feel as sick, but I still felt tired. And so far, like I said, today's day 17, the fatigue it's still there. I'm not gonna lie. I could take a nap any moment. I still can't taste, still can't smell. Been able to be more physically active, which was really nice. But I have to be really careful because if I'm too active, I could feel inflamed. I'm still on steroids and I'm tapering off. I'm on a very low dose because you never want to stop them abruptly. But to kind of put things into perspective, so I'm healthy. I had labs done on myself maybe 3 months ago, and they were great. There was nothing abnormal, and I do the whole gamut. So I was very surprised of how hard it hit me. And of course, this is not like any other virus. My worry with this virus is the long-lasting effects, because things like flu, you feel horrible for a week and then you move on, but now people are left with brain fog, fatigue, still loss of taste and smell. I've heard blood clotting. I've heard just random pains that don't make any sense. And so there's all these new unexplainable symptoms that people experience after COVID that we're still going to explore. Actually, the one thing I thought was interesting is when I had my IV, I clotted right in front of me, big blood clot right where the IV was inserted, and I have no history of clotting issues, and I've done my genetics, and I have no genetic variant for clotting, so that was scary for me, and I decided to put myself on aspirin for a few days just to be safe. The one thing that I think was the reason why this virus was pretty aggressive with me, and luckily I know I'm pretty healthy and I was not in the hospital, but it felt horrible. I did my genetic testing a few months back, and I have inflammatory SNPs. And if you don't know what SNPs means, SNP stands for single nucleotide polymorphisms, and so they're not genetic anything that causes disease. They're just variants. And so my inflammatory SNPs were just, a lot of them were abnormal. So what that means is that I have inflammatory markers that are, they call them the on genes, and so when they're SNPed, they stay on longer. And that's really because of an evolutionary protective mechanism. When we were faced with the elements and we didn't have antibiotics, our immune system had to be robust. And so when you get sick, whether it's any virus, but particularly COVID, your immune system is really, it's ramped up. It's never seen the virus before, so it's doing all it can to take care of it. But unfortunately, the byproducts of that inflammation is what causes people to end up in the hospital. They get fibrosis in the lungs, they get that cytokine storm we've all heard about. And so there's that nice balance where you want the immune system working, but you don't want it going haywire. So I have a lot of these variants, and there's also inflammatory off genes where my off genes are mutated, so that means my inflammation doesn't turn off very well. So I'm very prone to inflammation. And I even have, I think, the ACE2 receptor variant SNP, which is the exact receptor that the COVID latches onto. So I thought I would share my experience. I know nothing special about me, about what I went through, and many other people have gone through it. But one thing I did find valuable with all this is, this, to get some empathy and know that being young and healthy doesn't necessarily make you immune to many things, and that health is still of utmost importance. I mean, there's nothing that is more valuable than health. And there were times that I was sick that I got a little bit scared, and there was times where I felt frustrated and upset and even emotional because I just didn't understand why I couldn't turn around so quickly. And then the other thing I'd share too is I was happy I did my genetic testing before, but I think with COVID, it probably is something that maybe you might want to think about, because it shares a lot of information about your variants. Now, your genes, you can't change your genes, they're set in stone, but if you know what you're working with and you know what you're prone to, you can actively protect yourself or be proactive so you don't maybe have a severity of a reaction or as severe of an illness if you do get sick. I know the vaccine's coming out right now. It's dedicated for first line, frontline health workers, and that's a whole different topic, but I want to encourage you to consider genetic testing, and then you'll see in the newsletter that we have preventative COVID protocols, active COVID protocols, and post-COVID protocols, because you do require different kind of support through those phases. And so I would just kind of encourage you to think about that. I thought I'd share my story. Like I said, nothing special about me, but thank you for all who gave me some great well wishes. I really appreciate it. Really spoke to my heart. And so yeah, I'm back in the office, and we're here to help you. So all right, have a great day, guys.